Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of Future Proof Podcast. My guest today is Nitin Seth from SMS Magic. Nitin, glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Great. So Nitin, as you know, right, our podcast is focused around founders and CEOs like yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background and your career journey.
Thank you, Brent. I've been an entrepreneur since last 20 years. This is my second startup. So I've been curious and inquisitive. So my attraction has always been the mobile phone and what you can do with a mobile phone. And a lot of innovations have already happened. I think we are still fascinated by it, how it can extend the reach of any business. And for a consumer, it's such a kind of device which we have seen. Like I said, there are different startups I've been part of. With this one, we are focusing on customer experience, to kind of enable customer experience with direct messaging on mobile phone. When we started, messaging was kind of a niche, but now it is mainstream and many businesses are leveraging messaging to reach out to consumers. And we have variety of messaging, right from RCS to SMS to WhatsApp to maybe LinkedIn messages and even Instagram messages. So yeah, it's pretty exciting times. And I'm kind of happy to kind of be doing what I am, following my passion.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Fantastic. And I got some really cool questions to ask you in and around that as we come up, because I'm a big fan of how your platform consolidates stuff. We'll get into that in a second. But tell us a little bit about what the impetus was to start SMS Magic, right? I know you had a few startups, but what was the vision and the mission about that, and kind of what you saw in the industry?
Sure, Brent. So when we started with the retailers in Mumbai, the key focus was to enable direct customer engagement. So you are a brand and a retailer. So usually somebody would call in at a store or visit a store. Those were the prominent channels, and both are very expensive. So what we did was do customer loyalty programs over messaging for retailers in Mumbai. That's how we started. Then what we found was customer experience starts with customer data. And that's when kind of we started working with CRMs like Salesforce and Zoho. So if your customer engagement starts with your customer data, then it is more relevant, it is more in time, contextual, and those are the critical ingredients for a good customer experience. So what we provide is a good customer experience, which is relevant, timely, with conversational messaging over these channels like SMS and what. So that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And look, as someone who is a growth partner, right, myself, and that helps B2B companies all the time, right, we constantly explain to our clients, right, as well as a lot of other folks that we talk to, about how different people interact today, right, than before. It's not a single channel. It's not only that they live different places online, right, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or any of the socials, Reddit, like there's more choices, but more than that, what your platform really brings together is how many different communication channels exist now. And so kind of talk to us about like that shift.
That's a great question. So there are different audiences. So there are Gen Zs and then there are also millennials. So depending on what audience you are kind of engaging, the channel follows that. So we have customers in education, universities, higher ed institutes, and edtech companies. So their consumers or students keep messaging. They would message more after the hours, office hours. And a lot of these people don't have staff who can answer these messages. There are people who will message on Facebook and expect a reply, whereas the business may not have people directly handling messages on Facebook. We have seen healthcare companies, they don't want to do messaging on Facebook, but there are people who are messaging them on Facebook.
Absolutely.
We have even had a university client where people were sending pictures and they wanted to automate. So people would send a cross when they opt out, or they would send a thumbs up. So it's a engagement where consumers drive, and at the other end there are other businesses like fintech. So there's a new age fintech. They are very technology savvy. They want to adopt all the new technology, but their audience are maybe millennials, people who are in their 40s, and they respond differently. So they would respond to messages in a very formal way. They would still use email, and then they would be more busier, and kind of they would have different response rate. So there are different audience, there are different channels. People behave very differently, uh, and kind of the trend changes. I think every 2 3 years. Right now, people are kind of on AI. AI is a consumer-driven trend, and everybody is wanting to search instead of ask Siri or search on a conversational interface rather than going through websites and all. So these changes are kind of there. Our philosophy as a company has been that okay, we there are certain channels that we run. So we provide the messaging channel, we provide the chat channel, the WhatsApp channel for our customers. But the core of it is that we work very well with email. We work very well with telephone. So we do things like a missed call chatbot, or email is undelivered. So you send a text message. So we integrate very well with telephony and email providers particularly. And that's kind of makes the circle complete. That's been one of our philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and just, you have a really cool video on the website that kind of shows how you keep conversations, right? Regardless of channel, you keep it
Yeah.
coordinated, right? So it's been your whoever is using your tool can manage a conversation with a person regardless of where it's coming in. Can you kind of walk through that a little bit?
Sure. That's a good pick, Brent. So in our conversation history, we not only show our data, but we also show call records, which are kind of run from another system, telephony system. So we integrate and we fetch the data and show a single conversation view and drive insights using AI from that. So what is the typical response time? What are the different channels? What are the kind of talk time? And if there's a call, then what are the transcript? Then on transcript, we can run sentiment and intent. So the benefit of doing that is that customer gets one channel. Okay, this is what has happening, and I can scroll that through history and see what is happening with my customer. That's the benefit of it.
And if you think about it, I mean, I could take across at least three different areas, whether it's marketing, what meaning it's a new prospect inquiring about you, whether it's helping your sales team or helping your support team, right? Those three areas, and I can't imagine the time saving and the retention, right? Or customer or prospect saving that does, right? Because you're responding quicker and you're not letting things fall through the cracks, right?
Yeah. So typically, our customers are professionals and institutes. So they are professionals like lawyers, doctors, brokers, insurance brokers, real estate companies, and education companies or institutes. So these people are pressed for time, and all of them want more kind of leads. They want to do more intakes. They want more inquiries, but they also want qualified inquiries. So they can open up
Yes.
they can open up all the channels, but they also need to have enough people to answer and respond. That's where we come in, that you can scale your channels now with chatbots and AI. Plus, we also evangelize that you need to get into give a human experience at some point. Otherwise, kind of,
Yes.
these are high credence services and people are going to bounce off if they are chatting with a bot for a long time. So that's when we build features like agent handover and so on. So that's how we've complemented technology with human. And we have interfaces, conversational interfaces, where we show which are the automated ones going on. So an agent can intercept the conversation, or agent can kind of filter out, okay, these are the ones assigned to me and I have to get on with that. So our customers typically use us for kind of getting more inquiries and nurturing more inquiries. And typically in these professional businesses, they have a long process of documentation, qualifying the prospect, taking them through the application cycle, and also collecting the payment and kind of making sure they are registered for the treatment or for the course and all. So if they were to doing all that things manually over email and phone calls, then they need to have a lot of people and the offices will be busy. So we try and automate that part for them.
And do you have any metrics? I'm sure you do, but just some rough ballpark metrics of the improvement and of the efficiency that you're able to do for some of these businesses?
Yes, Brent, the number one matrix we have is the response rate. So typical any kind of customer awareness or customer nurturing before they sign up, any of those campaigns, if they have a prior touch point, then we generate almost 15 to 40% response rate, which is very high for these.
It's really high.
Yes, for these touch points and reach outs. Now, the ultimate matrix is the conversion. How many of those inquiries they are able to convert into applications and how many applications they are able to convert into a signed customer, which they intake. So that's usually the kind of what we measure. Now, obviously, the last kind of how many intakes they do, that is in the CRM, but we can't directly measure it. But we do look at the applications because that's a life cycle in the messaging. So we look at how many inquiries they nurtured with messaging, how many applications they collected with messaging, or actually they sent a reminder and then they sent a confirmation and so on. So with this, we are able to measure the outcome, and these are usually the outcomes.
And that's what everybody wants, right? They want the outcomes, even if they don't know to ask that up front. If you start measuring that and helping with that's 100% what people are looking for, right? Everybody wants a better response rate, but at the end of the day, how many of those convert into revenue, right? Again, you become another key cog in a growth program. When other founders and CEOs that are watching this are thinking, what are some of the levers I can pull? This is a great lever to pull because everyone thinks they know where their customers live online. It gets harder and harder every day. To your point, there's generational platforms, right, that they marry up to millennials and Gen Zs and Gen Xers, right, differently. But that doesn't mean that they're not using multiple communication channels. And the ability to put it into one conversation is massive, right? And it's only going to proliferate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be even more spread out also between not just the channels, but the in-person visits. So the in-person visits are there. There are Zoom calls, and then there are these channels where people are messaging. And some of these customers, especially in our case, these professionals and institutes, so there's a good doctor or a good lawyer may not know how to market, or they may not have enough knowledge about these channels and kind of how they work. They are enough technical as well as they have a lot of marketing.
Right. Very few do.
Yeah.
Right. Very few do.
Yes.
No. Yeah. You're definitely right about that. So as you start to look down the road, right? What do you see? Because again, I see more proliferation, more communication channels, right? More DMs are being used more. SMS is a massive growing tool. People think that they're just texting their friends, but texting and again, we'll get into some of the compliance here in a second. But what I wanted to talk to you is, what do you start to see as you look down the road in the next 1 to 2 years?
So that's a great question. I see channels proliferating, especially messaging channels, and I see mainstream adoption happening now. Mainstream adoption for WhatsApp, RCS. SMS is getting a facelift with RCS, and they have got competition from WhatsApp. Plus, there are so Instagram.
For everybody that doesn't know, can you explain RCS?
Yeah, RCS is...
Everyone knows SMS, right?
Yeah. RCS is Google's initiative for rich messaging, but they have an ecosystem approach where they are deploying inside carriers like AT&T, Verizon. So most of them are ready now in the US, and they are also deploying inboxes on your headset with Samsung. Even Apple has pushed RCS in their latest OS update. So that gives you a rich messaging experience on the phone where you can... It's like IP messaging. You know who is typing. You can send pictures, videos. You can send carousels. There are buttons and so on. So it's kind of fit for conversational messaging. As phone gets updated, OS gets updated, and more businesses take on to that. So people would want to do that because that is more secure also. It is HIPAA and GDPR compliant completely. and it's Google's initiative, Google plus now Apple, and all the carriers are going to make money on it. So it's expected to take off.
Yeah, yeah. And, and good timing. Let's talk about, especially in the US, that, the new laws go into place, in about a week, right? Yeah, next Monday, right? So TCPA becomes a big deal. And this is the industry in general tightening down the carriers, the Verizons, the AT&T, they all need to be compliant starting, I think it's at the end of this week. I think it rolls out next Monday, right? I think the
Absolutely.
27th in the US. So talk a little bit about that for people that don't know.
So TCPA has been very active. When they rolled out 10 DLC, nobody all thought, okay, we thought, okay, it's coming, but we never thought the industry would kind of collaborate so much and release something as kind of directive as a 10 DLC where you have to declare everything. As a business, I need to declare who I am messaging, why I'm messaging, my use case, my website, my opt-in, my data privacy, and so on, which is natural. Uh, I think this one-on-one messaging guidelines also means that if I'm going to message you as a business to you as a consumer, Brent, then also I need to have compliance and it has to be recorded. So it's a big one. I think it will impact all businesses who are doing business messaging. But in general, the compliance are going to get stronger and stronger, be it HIPAA, be it TCPA, or even we expect AI-related regulations to come in soon, where AI cannot be used for this or can be used or cannot be used for decisioning, and there is no racial bias and so on. So in general, we see messaging proliferating, in general communication proliferating, but also the controls coming into the place because consumers are kind of they are spam. There is still the industry at large who are targeting consumers without without being very relevant. The opt-out rates are still a little high, and there is a need to kind of cut down on spam. So the industry will get tighter, but also that's an opportunity to do relevant messaging.
And then the other law that just for everybody that knows, starting next week, is that companies are not allowed to resell your consent. It's one company, one offer, one consent. That way that's going to help reduce spam. We're going to see how that's enforced going forward, but I think that's going to be great for consumers.
I'm now 100% sure that will be enforced.
And there's always the bad actors always ruin it for everyone. But that's just been the case online since the internet came on. So no, this is great. So before I get into my last couple questions with you, so Nitin, tell me a little bit about maybe a couple cool stories you have, one or two about things that you've helped customers with. You've already kind of given the professionals, but I would imagine that your ability to accelerate, whether it's on the lead gen side and helping convert more leads into sales, or it's streamlining conversations on back end support. I would imagine, SMS Magic has had a couple cool stories of clients that you've helped.
Absolutely. So there is always that bit of kind of value and emotion added to kind of customers and kind of when they express it. So we have a customer in New York. They started a little before COVID. When COVID hit, they were still young in terms of their size and kind of what they were doing. Times of COVID, what they were doing is they were providing service for people discharged after a COVID treatment. So that is post kind of hospitalization. They had to serve those people. And what they did was they built a messaging automation that when people are out of hospital, they would ask questions. Are you breathing well? Do you have fever? Are you doing this? Just plain 4-5 questions, yes, no, and kind of they would do that once a day. And they did that for a massive kind of thousands of patients, and that became very successful. So instead of people calling the patients, they were easily able to do a diagnose or kind of check in on the people who were out of hospitals, because there was a rush to get people out of hospitals during COVID so that the fresh patients can be gotten into the hospitals.
Really cool.
So that was a very exciting thing because we have to build that kind of patient engagement and kind of, I wouldn't say collecting the vitals, but kind of collecting their survey. based on how they were feeling, but it was enough to kind of raise a hand and say, okay, this patient needs more help. And then they would have somebody who's a paramedical or a nurse who would go to the patient in case they are sick, and kind of check them up and decide the next course of action. So they started with that. Now today they have 1,000 people contact center, and they are one of the largest home care companies, elder care companies in New York, Florida, I think 5 or 7 states in the eastern side of US, and now they are expanding more to other states. So they have 1,000 people contact center. They have almost like 2,000 or 2,500 caregivers
That's amazing.
go to elderly homes.
Yeah.
That's how they started with. Yeah, and they were almost even for us, like our business was a little down at that time. So obviously we could build all this for
Right.
them without
Right.
taking a lot of money at that time in 2020, June or July. So we thought it is cool, let's do it. We didn't take a lot of money, but yeah, it's one of the case studies
That's
on our website. They
fantastic.
call it
That's
Freedom Care.
fantastic. All right, this has been very, very eye opening because I see this problem every day in what we do, and so I love what your platform does. I love the problem you're solving, and in the true entrepreneurial spirit, right? You're solving a problem. You solve a problem in the industry, and you build a solution for it, and now you're growing the companies. As I always do, right? Last two questions. One is, what's something cool that you have done as a CEO with AI, ChatGPT, LLM, doesn't matter, right? Claude, in the last, few months that, personally as a CEO that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so we have been very actively building a team of AI people who come from machine learning background and who have done things in AI. So what one example is using AI for profiling and kind of doing research on our own prospects and leads. So we look at all our customers as, okay, what is the size of audience they get inquiries from, how many audience they are able to enroll, and what is the messaging they through the life cycle. So we need to typically profile them for how many locations they have, how many professionals they have, how many other staff they have, and what are the key communication channels. So we were able to automate that with AI. So we are able to now profile our customers. So with somebody like a Freedom Care, we can profile that they are in 5 or 7 states. This is their strength. Their strength is 3,000 employees. They are in so many locations and they have so many caregivers. Although location is not so important for them, but they have states and coverage that they have. So this kind of data about the locations, the services offered by our customers, the kind of their communication channels. Do they have web chat? Do they have a phone line on their website? How active they are on social? These things we were able to use AI to kind of profile automatically. That was really cool. So I was kind of always pushing the boundaries, and kind of I thought I was smart, but my team was smarter.
Yeah, isn't that
Because
amazing,
they
right?
could kind
And now
of do these
you
things. Yeah.
know what you have a much better and much more laser targeted view of your ideal customer, right? That's fantastic. I love that.
Exactly.
And every company needs to do that, right? So that'll be a really cool, that'll be a really cool, insight that we share out that you did, right? And again, I've got on almost every podcast, I've gotten something new like that. That is like, hey, that's something that everybody should be doing. All right. So last question, right? Before we do the wrap up is, you're looking to grow, right, at a certain percentage over the next 12 months. So if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing or get over one hurdle to help you do that, right? And it's not your ICP now, right? Other people might say that that's the answer to that question. What would it be to help you hit that or exceed that target?
Great. My answer is a very old kind of even Mark Benioff. This what he has done all through his life. I would say he's doing that right now. Get people on the feet. I think businesses need more consulting and guidance, and they need salespeople who are educating them. They need hand-holding and kind of getting onboarded and all. So getting right people on the field, helping customers adopt these new technologies. Because suddenly in last 3 years, we got digital, now AI has come. Plus there's pressure on all these businesses to be profitable. And I think inflation is high. People are expensive and it's expensive to do business. So these businesses are looking to get the right partner, and we travel a lot these days from India to the US. We are hiring a team in the US. So for us, it is kind of complementing that on-field team with the right technologies and right people in the office doing research and kind of automating that. That is the key. But kind of it is more kind of human-based selling. Otherwise, these
Yeah,
technologies will be hard
it's why
to adopt.
it's so funny you say it. It's why I started Vallejo Growth, right? To be partners with our clients, right? To help them, guide them through this journey and bring tools and resources like your platform on to help them accelerate growth, right? And so I love that you said that. And I think that is probably a very common insight, right? Or challenge that other founders and CEOs are having, right? Technology is changing so fast. Adoption won't happen without human education, right? Is you and I talking, right? Again, take us out of the equation. If we were just meeting, it's, why is this important? How does it help my company, right? And where does it fit in? And that's why I think you're going to see more, what I call them, growth consultants working with CROs and CEOs for that reason, because I think it's a partnership going forward. It's consulting is just a piece of it, but it's also the relationships of the right systems to bring into place. So I love what you said there. So wrap up, right? Nitin, tell everybody how to get in touch and look at your platform. Someone that says, hey, I need that. I want to have a conversation. We'll have all the links below like we always do, but Nitin, just tell everybody about SMS Magic.
Sure, Brent, we are always available on chat.
I love it.
We are very conversational.
You practice what you preach, right?
That's the quickest way to kind of get in touch. Otherwise, we are reachable on email and phone call, which is there on our website. I'm available on Nitin at sms-magic.com. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. We'll have all those links, below when the podcast goes live. So as we always do. And again, we're here to be a resource for founders and CEOs. And if you're sitting out there going, hey, I would love to close the gap and get efficiency, because I always say little hinges swing big doors. And that what we mean by that is if you make incremental investments and improvements, the massive lift, whether it's in revenue or efficiency, operational efficiency are massive. And that's what these tools, these platforms like yours help. So please visit SMS Magic and reach out to Nitin and his team. Nitin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Brian. I have just one thing to share, which I discovered recently. So I think we are in a big AI wave, and how to make money is not very clear out of it. So if whatever you sell, how AI can augment that experience or your product or something for your customer is not very straightforward, which means that it's another cost, but how you monetize that, how you kind of sell more or how you charge the same customer more is not very clear. So one thing which has worked for us is a data-based approach. So look at how to kind of leverage your data. So every company has some data for value growth. You can profile all the founders, you can profile all the insights, you can profile basically all the growth strategies. So all these kind of, like you said at the beginning, if you are doing 300 podcasts, then create a database and leverage that database. So thinking what data I have and how I can use it for my better thing is very important. Otherwise, these big companies and big tech, they can marginalize a lot of businesses. All the LLMs and big tech can marginalize a lot of businesses. But if we play to our strength where we have data,
I totally agree. Really, really good insight. Thank you very much for sharing. All right. And that wraps up our latest episode, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, Nitin.
Thank you. Look forward.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.